Welcome all 94 participants. Well, I guess that includes me, so 93. Thank you for joining us. I don't know how long this is going to take, my bit. I'm hoping around about 40 minutes, something like that, but I haven't sort of worked through it all myself, you know, in a slick run through. So yeah, let's dive straight in. Just a quick overview of what we're going to be talking about. So you can see that on the right. This is more for my sort of aid memoir than anything else. But so the basic operation of it, talk about the modules you can buy, settings, how to add external varios, the function of the sort of auto start, auto stop, start button, confuses people a little bit sometimes. Instruments and screens, routes and waypoints, triangle assistant, how to add custom airspace or Notams, how I set it up if I'm doing a comp, and just in general sort of final glide, what I'm looking at, how to share flights, and a few other tips. So that said, let us dive in. So the basic operation, I mean, it's difficult to do a show of hands, but I imagine most people who, well, certainly everyone who uses Flyskyhy will understand the basic operation, but there may be some people here who are thinking about using it, or maybe even buying an iPhone, a second-hand iPhone, just so they can use it. So you won't exactly know how it works. You can set up multiple screens, and you can switch between them by just basically sliding with your finger, or you can set up the sort of proximity sensor so that when you wave your hand over it, it switches screen. And that's what I'm doing at the moment. I'm not sure you can see me, but you probably can now. So that's the basic operation. To access the sort of menu and the different sort of Flyskyhy screens as opposed to the sort of instrument screens, which is what we're seeing here, you slide up on any instrument, but obviously you don't slide up on the map because the map will just slide up as well. So I can slide my finger up on the top instruments, and you can see the menu appears at the bottom. So you've got your flight book, you've got a map where you can, here you zoom in, zoom out with just two fingers, pinch and zoom. So this isn't really designed to be used in flight because you'll be struggling to do this in flight with gloves on. You've got the waypoints, screen showing all your saved waypoints and the route at the top. And then you've got all the various settings here. So let's dive into the settings. Sort of first thing I tend to explore in any app, really, just to see what the options are. So first off, what are the different modules? You can buy Flyskyhy. I think it's $8.99 is the basic module. But if you're an XC pilot, you will definitely want to buy the Waypoints, Airspaces, and XC package as a minimum. And I think they're all the same price. It's like another $8.99. Map preload, that lets you preload maps when you're at home on Wi-Fi, i.e. if you're going on holiday somewhere and you don't expect to have any sort of, well, much cell phone coverage, and you want to download maps, you can preload them, you can cache them in the Flyskyhy's cache. The reason why Rene is asking people, Rene is the developer, by the way, the reason why Rene is asking people to pay for that module is because he has to pay Google for every, you know, I don't know what the deal is, but every 1,000 sort of tiles, he gets a bill. That's something like that. So he's asking us to fund that. So I would say, if you can afford it, go for it and keep Rene, give him an incentive to keep on developing it. Right. So you've bought all the modules now, or extensions. So let's just have a look at the individual settings. Pilot and glider is pretty self-evident, really. The reason why it's in there is so that when you upload flights to X Contest or whatever, the or the XC League, the glider. I'm saying this. I think the glider is in the IGC file. And then you put your approximate trim speed, stall speeds, etc., glide ratio in there, and it just helps Flyskyhy do some calculations. Vario. So Flyskyhy does actually use the iPhone's barometer to you know, it can be a vario in its own right. If you so say you've got an external vario and the battery runs out or whatever, you can mid-flight switch to these settings, turn the vario on, like during flight, for example, and then your iPhone will take over. So as a sort of last resort, it's probably useful to know that. The middle of the section, you've got where you attach or where you set up external Bluetooth varios. I've got an XC tracer. Others are available. You have the option of using the device GPS. If that's turned off, what that means is the Flyskyhy will use your iPhone's GPS, which will use a bit more battery. Everyone will be using Flyskyhy with an external battery, so that's not a huge issue, really. The one reason that I've sometimes would leave that off is so that I've got completely independent IGC files, i.e. they're not sort of sharing the same GPS data. So I've got one on my XC tracer, and then the Flyskyhy one will be using iPhone's GPS. And potentially, if you're doing a competition and you're just scraping into the goal cylinder at the end of a task, this is exactly what happened to me, but before I used Flyskyhy. But I literally landed on the cylinder downwind, and my Flymaster, I don't know if I've got this the right way around, said I was in, and the Flymaster tracker that the comp was issuing said I was out, and they were able to take the one that said I was in. So that might be the only reason you would do that. These days I just have it set to use device GPS. And then use FLARM data if you've got a FLARM device. Live tracker. So this is where, if you're doing like hike and fly races and you want to be live tracking from the get-go, i.e. before you're even flying, you would put that to always on. And so whilst I'm talking through the rest of the settings, have a look at the background here, this map, and at some point we should see a little paraglider icon there. So you enter your LiveTrack 24. Other live tracking services are available, but most people use LiveTrack 24. And you can set up friends, and I've got a whole list of them. And it can be quite annoying when you're flying, you know, abroad in France, for example, and you're seeing your mates pop up on the edge of the screen flying in England. And the way I get rid of, is a quick way of preventing that from happening is just to, you can see a lot of these names like Harry here, there's an X at the end of after his LiveTrack name or his username, and that just forces it to be an invalid name, so it won't show. So that's how I quickly sort of hide people. It's a bit hit and miss. I've asked Rene in the past if he can put like a distance filter on it, so you only see people within, you know, like 20 kilometers of you, but he obviously hasn't got around to doing that. Don't want to spend too much time on that. Maps, so I always have it set on terrain. Orientation, I have a sort of general course normally. I'm just setting it north for this demo so that it looks it's easier to see what's going on. Show landings in the Alps. It can be quite useful to show landings and takeoffs, you know, if you're doing a vol biv or something like that. But in the UK, I have those set to none. show waypoints. I've got hundreds of waypoints. If we look at my screen here, you can see they're dotted all over the place. This is on the map screen. And when I'm flying, I don't want to see them all. There's no reason to see them all. So I've got them turned off in the settings to only show route points. Yeah, that's enough to talk about that. Airspaces. I'm going to talk about different airspace sources later on. Airspace classes, and again, I've got my airspace classes sort of listed here, you know, my settings, and I can show them. I'm not going to go through them all now because it will take forever, but you can set them, you can have different colors, different border styles, different let's have a look at, yeah, different alert distances for different airspace classes. So it's very sophisticated and granular setup. Really, you just got to play around with that and find the settings that work best for you. And then other, auto start, auto end. I tend to have those both turned off. Auto start, mainly just so that when you're sort of on a train on the way back home or in the car, or whatever, you don't accidentally just start a new flight. There's no problem with that. You can easily delete it again. But I prefer to use the start button to start the flight beforehand. Auto end flight, again, I sort of turn it off manually, partly because of sort of hike and fly races where you might want it to carry on recording. What other units? I'm not going to bother with that. Auto switch to thermal centering, it's worth turning that on. Touch-free control, that's what I was talking about, using the proximity sensor. Yeah, that might be worth actually just having that set to during flight. Right. So that's all the settings. Let's just talk a little bit more about the auto start, auto end and start button. There is a start button, which I've got on my second screen. And you might think that when you press that, it automatically starts recording the flight. But really, it's telling Flyskyhy to get ready to record the flight. It won't actually start recording. Actually, I've just noticed on the map, the live track still hasn't appeared on it. That's because I'm on the wrong map. Sorry about that. Let's just. Oh, come on. Get that out of the way. There we go. Yeah, I wasn't on the right map. So we can see my live tracker has appeared in Bath. Sorry, that was a distraction. So yes, the start button. So it basically makes sure that Flyskyhy is running in the foreground. Everything it's alerting you that it will alert you that the Vario, your Bluetooth Vario isn't connected or isn't turned on. So it's just sort of telling itself to get ready. Once you've pressed start, that means that when you do take off, even if you've got auto start disabled, it will start recording your flight. So that's just my setting. You might prefer to have it set to auto start. Yeah, so at the end of the flight, I just press the end button. Once you press start, see here you go. This is what happens. It tells you haven't got your XCTrack connected. So at the end of the flight, just press stop. Right, let's look at the different, how to set up new screens and play around with the instruments. So I've got 3 main screens I use here. This is the sort of one I've just been playing around with. But I've got, my setups are, I've got an overview screen, which I normally have zoomed out so I can get a good overview of the airspace that's coming up when I'm flying. Then I've got a more zoomed in navigation one. So if I'm approaching a turn point or something, I will look at this. And in fact, if I'm doing a comp, I tend to keep it on this screen the whole time, because it's got information like distance to the next route point down at the bottom here, distance to goal, arrival height over the next waypoint, arrival height over goal. So it's all useful information to have. So when I'm switching between these screens, I try and keep certain information constant. So like the instruments at the top there, you'll see that they're actually the same on both screens. On the thermaling screen, they're a little bit different. And I found on the thermaling screen, it's quite useful to have that graphical view at the bottom to save you glancing. If you're in weak lift, you can just glance at it and see, you know, whether you've been going up or whether you're actually gently sinking. And on the thermaling screen as well, you see I've got two lift instruments. So one is instantaneous and the lower one is average. And so you can click on that, and this is a fairly new feature. You can set your average between like 0 seconds or 60 seconds. So you can't do it exactly, but that would be 30 seconds, and that's going to be roughly sort of 15 seconds, which is roughly the revolution, you know, the time it takes to do a complete circle in a thermal. So if we want to add new instruments or a whole new page even, if you're starting Flyskyhy for the first time, this will be a complete blank canvas. But you have to just press and hold on an instrument. And now I can actually slide to a complete blank page. And press the plus, and then you get a list of all the instruments here. So I'm not going to design one, I'll just put a couple in. If you've got an external Bluetooth Vario, put your Bluetooth status there. That's useful to have. Putting maps in there, I'll probably go past it, map view, and that's a sort of pinch and zoom to move around and resize. To get rid of it, you just delete and hit delete. To sort of finish editing, you just don't do anything after sort of 5 seconds, it switches itself off again. Does that cover? Yeah. Oh yes, that's good. The blue line, you can't see it at the moment, but when you're flying, you get a blue line from your central position, which indicates your. In fact, if I do a replay, let's just replay any flight will do. Let's do a cross-country flight. Be a bit more useful. So after a little while, you get a blue line coming from the arrow, and it takes a bit of time to appear. But that basically tells you how far you can expect to glide, given, there we go, it's just appeared. Zoom in with a double tap. So at this, you know, on this particular, this glide angle, I'm doing roughly 10 to 1, and that's how far I can expect to glide. So if I kept on that course, I'd end up in the middle of Kemble. And you can see that on the side view beneath, you can see the blue line entering into Kemble airspace there. So that's useful if you're trying to cross a mountain, or whether if you're flying over some airspace and you want to see whether you're going to maybe clip the corner of it. So yeah, it's pretty useful, that side view. So I'll just stop that now. Go back to here. Oh, rattling through because there's a lot to cover. Right, routes and waypoints. So you can create routes on the fly in Flyskyhy. So let's just show you how to do that. So you swipe up to get to the map menu, and let's just go somewhere where I haven't really got a bit of empty space. So you click the middle button in the top, and that puts it in the middle of the screen. Quite often it's not going to be in exactly the right place. So to move it, like if I try to move it now, it just moves the whole screen. So you have to tap on it, and then you can move it, you can drag it around. So let's just put it there, for example. Click the I button, and then click the sort of root button bottom left. Boom. Dismiss. So that's in the first waypoint in the route. I've put it in exactly the same place. That's pretty stupid. Let's move it there. So add to the route, dismiss. We're just going to do a little triangle. Add it to the route. And then this is where the XC League is incredibly pernickety if you're designing a triangle. The start and finish cylinders have to be exactly the same. So I don't actually need to add a new waypoint. I can just click on this one again, click the I, and add it to the route. And so that ensures that they are. You might think, oh, damn it, I've just put it in the wrong order. I actually want to fly it the other way around. So go onto the waypoint screen, go into your route, and then you can just click and drag and just swap them around like that, the middle ones. And so now if we go back to the map view, we'll see we're going round anti-clockwise. There are different types of waypoint. You can make an optional waypoint, and that is useful. Let's just delete this route. So we go to delete a route, just go to the waypoints, slide on it, and just do delete. Okay, yeah, that's deleted the route, but those waypoints I'd actually created them separately, so they're still there. So I'll just declutter it. Click on them, click the X. So say we were doing a flight from, well, let's say Westbury, and we wanted to try and get down to the. No, let's just, yeah, let's use that as an example. So we've got to keep clear of this sort of this corner of Salisbury Plain danger area there. So we can add a waypoint. It's not exactly in the right place, so we'll move it roughly there. This is going to be an optional waypoint, so we're going to make it a bit bigger than that, because let's just make it. It doesn't really matter. Let's make it quite a bit bigger, but we'll call it optional as well. And we'll just drag it so that it's sort of kissing the edge of it. Whoops. Kissing the edge of the airspace. You get the idea. Let's just leave it like that. So let's say we're starting the flight at Westbury. So we'll add that to the route. So this is if you want to, declare a flight. So then we'll have this one, and we'll add it to the route. And then we're going to try and get down to here, for example, as a goal. Oh, okay. I've obviously set that up as a Notam at some point, but let's pretend that's goal. So the point about having this optional waypoint is that it lets you navigate to it, but it won't be included in the IGC file in the C record, whichever one it is, so that your declared flight for the XC League will be valid as just a sort of a start and a finish. So that's pretty handy to have that. So that's showing you how to create a flight within Flyskyhy itself. How are we doing for time, by the way? Time is marching on. Let's just delete that. Again, that's still there. So you might want to do it in FlyXC. So let's just switch back to here. And whilst I remember, I'm just going to turn the live tracking off, put it to during flight. In time, that will get whited out as opposed to being red. So if you go to FlyXC, okay, so this has changed a bit recently, which has confused me a little bit. Let's turn on XC planning. Let's turn on airspaces, just so we can avoid airspaces. And let's turn on the airways, just so we can easily see where sites are. So let's do a quick triangle from Westbury, for example, and this is more or less what I did last year sometime. Out towards Mells, up towards Bath, or sort of somewhere around, yeah, somewhere around there, and then back to that's interesting. I'm not sure what these yellow lines, because I haven't done a closed flight. Now I've closed flight. Delete that waypoint there. So you can move your turn point anywhere within these sort of FAI arcs. That's a pretty nice one. So the easiest way to get this into Flyskyhy is just to do download, change it to format geo. There are other ones that work. GPX works, I know, but I just always use format geo. Don't worry about changing the prefix, no need to do that. And then just download. So that's now on my computer. The easiest way I find of transferring it to your phone is just using Telegram. So I just drag that into, now before I do that actually, oops, that's opened. I clicked on it, so it's opened it up in this text editor. This is all, there's nothing sort of terribly sophisticated about a waypoint file. It's just a little text file. I'll just close it again. Yes, Telegram lets you create channels, so which don't have to have any people in, or they can have millions of people, or just yourself effectively. Whereas you can't create a group without adding someone else in there. So channels are pretty useful. I've got one called Tim's Transfer Channel, and I just use it for transferring stuff between my phone and my computer. So here's the waypoints file I've just created, drag into Telegram, send. Let's go back up. Right. So now go into Telegram on the phone, boom, transfer channel. So it doesn't know quite what to do with it. If it was a text file or something, you'd probably be able to read it, but click the export or the share button, and then you try and find, yeah, Flyskyhy. So now you get the choice of add to the route, replace the route, or make a sort of folder of waypoints. Let's do it as a new waypoint group, just to do something different. So now if we go to the waypoints, I think we'll see that at the bottom. Waypoint 5, it's got 4 waypoints in. We want to now add that to the route. I should have prepared this. That's no, just click that, I think. Yeah, replace route. So now if we go back to the, oops. Let's click out of that. Waypoints, and then go into the map, we can see we've got a triangle in there. Super easy. If we wanted to share that with other people on the hill, there's 2 ways of doing that. Go into your route, click the share button. So this is quite handy. You can just, someone can wave their other phone, and that's Android or another iPhone using Flyskyhy, they can just take a picture of that and it will load up. Or you can choose a file format here, so comp GPS, export, and fire it off to Telegram. And who's going to be my lucky recipient? Who's first on the list? Tom. And so he can then open that up in Flyskyhy or XCTrack. If you've created a route and you want to save it, like I've got tons of routes here, and you want, so I've got this nice triangle route and I want to actually sort of save this, you can click the folder and scroll down to the bottom, click new, and this moves them into a folder down at the bottom. And so now I'll want to rename that. So you've got to be a bit careful. You don't want to slide too aggressively, otherwise you'll end up deleting it. But slide a little bit and then click rename and call it Westbury. And it was, what, I don't know, I can't remember what the distance was now. Westbury 70K, so just something so you can recognize what it is. Right, let's just delete that now, and the one above. So that, I think, covers most of everything I was going to talk about here. Importing, sharing, optional waypoints, saving routes. Yeah, I think that's it. Flyskyhy has a triangle assistant sort of built into it. So that's, oh, I've just had a message from Tom saying, what the hell is this? He's obviously not on this call. He can wait for a reply. So yes, when you're flying and you're, well, let's give a little demo of this rather than just trying to explain it without a word. So this was a really nice sort of flight I had. When was it? Yeah, mere rifle range, 4-hour flight. So do a replay. So you can just drag the little button along rather than pressing play because that is so slow. So I'm bimbling along. It's a beautiful day, no wind. There's nothing. Just there you see we've got two little triangles. So it's saying that, you know, I've traveled a certain distance now. It thinks it's worth sort of showing the possible triangle things. So that means I can either head north to fly into this one, or I can fly into this one, or obviously I can carry on. I don't have to do that straight away. But as I fly further, those areas are getting bigger and further away. So I keep on going. Let's zoom out a bit. Single tap to zoom out. So yeah, finally decided to turn, head into there. Now that I'm in that, it's sort of saying, well, where do I need to head to finish off the triangle? And it's put a circle there. Yeah, I don't know what the arcs are doing at this point because they've sort of moved. But yeah, now I'm in there and closing off. So it gives you a good idea. Oh, and actually what I should have shown you is that, and I'll do this, I'll just add some instruments in here. I need to stop that before I can. Let's just add a couple of instruments because there are the special triangle assistant instruments, which I don't normally bother with, but yeah, current triangle and possible triangle. So just wait a second for that to finish editing. yeah, so let's just quickly go back into that replay and just have a look at those instruments. So as I scroll along, it doesn't. Okay, so that's the sort of first point it thinks a triangle's on. So it's saying, oh, I could do a 26K triangle from there if I started turning. Keep on going. Keep on going. Oh, it's jumped to 47. Keep on going. 77K triangle is the 89 is the maximum I could do. And then it sort of, yeah, I'm obviously going into the end cylinder. That arc is the sort of to finish off the triangle. So yeah, it tells you your potential triangle size. Quite a nice feature. I'm just going to get rid of those before I forget. Okay, so that is the triangle assistant. Okay, custom airspace. This is quite good. So if you'd normally use this, I think, for Notams. So go to airspace.xcontest.org and you get this nice map. You choose your country that you're interested in looking at. UK. Turn off the airspace. I only want to see Notams. And you can say, you can see on the map, which let's look at tomorrow's Notams. And okay, there's not many. But let's say tomorrow was an epic day, southwesterly, we're going to fly from Milk Hill up towards Norfolk. So you can click on them, let's just zoom in, and you click on that little one and you say, well, what is it? It's flying of large model aircraft, right? I'm not interested in that one. And you just repeat this. That's searchlight display. Yeah, not bothered by that one. Let's just, yeah, danger area has been activated. So we want to have that in Flyskyhy. So I mean, these things here just affect what's shown on the map. It's not actually what's exported. So you just click the export button, and here is where you say what you want to actually have exported. So I want sort of paragliding relevant Notams only. To be honest, I'm not sure what this hide alerts button does. I haven't played around with that much. I want it for tomorrow, so click that. I want it in open air format as opposed to XCTracer format. So the XCTracer format is if you want to put custom airspace into an XCTracer Max. It's a different format file. I want Notams, and I don't want the main bulk of airspace, because Flyskyhy already has that in it. You don't need to redo that. Although if you wanted to, you can obviously include that. So export. That just produces a little text file. Now we don't want to. We could load all of that into Flyskyhy, but actually we're only interested in one of those. I'm just going to go back to the map. So we're looking for this one, D0145. So I'm going to just copy that, go into my notepad, find it. Yeah. So here it is. It's this section here. Now I could delete everything apart from this. That would be a bit, you know, if there were 2 or 3, that would be a bit of a pain to do. So I think the easiest way is just to copy that section. It's quite obvious these sections, when you're looking at airspace, you've got some comments at the beginning which are prefixed with a star. So you can have anything in there. That's just information. And then these are the actual details of it here. Airspace class is R, airspace name is D, blah, blah, blah. Airspace height, 7,000 feet, 7,500 feet. Airspace low point is ground, and then it's got the coordinates of it and the radius, 5 nautical miles. So Control C to copy, and I like to use BB Edit just because it's a very basic text editor. You know, it won't save it as formatted text or anything. It's ASCII. Paste it in there. So if there were other ones we wanted to copy, you know, I'd just go and find them, do a search for them, and copy them and paste them in. But we're only going to do this one. Save it. Just call it Notam on my desktop, for example. Close that. So now I want to just transfer it to my phone again. So go into Telegram, my transfer channel, got my downloads here, export 3, just drag it in and send. So again, go into Telegram. Here it is, export.txt. So because it's a text file, you can actually, I sent the wrong one. I sent, yeah, this is the one that I saved. Yeah, let's try this one. Notam.txt, that's what I saved it as. So we can see that that's the one. It's only got the one Notam in there, one section of text. So again, Flyskyhy. This time, for some reason, Flyskyhy isn't appearing in the list of apps at the top level. So just scroll down and it's here. Flyskyhy. Import one airspaces from file. Okay. So how do you know that whether it's in there? Well, let's just go into the settings and go to Airspaces, Airspace sources, and let's just set it to the custom. Then we can go back to the map here. Let's just zoom out. Oh, that is fully zoomed out. Scroll over to here, and there you go. You can see it. Press and hold, and you can see it's plus R, ground to 7,500 feet. So that is very easy to get airspace, to get Notams into Flyskyhy. If you, once that, you know, in a week's time, that's out of date, don't worry about it. Just set it back to official. Then you've got it all back. When you're next going flying again, just repeat, just import it again, and it will overwrite what's already there as a custom airspace. So you wouldn't, when you're flying and you've got those Notams in there, obviously you set it to both. You wouldn't just have it as official or as just custom. You'd have it as both, so you can see it there. It's that purple one. Okay, back to the notes. Let's just, yeah. You can see my live tracking's turned off now. It's not active anymore. It's not red. It's color coded. It's orange now, which means it hasn't been active for 15 minutes or something. Yeah, we've done that section. How are we doing for time? Oh, blimey, it's dragging on. Let's quick minute or two on comp setup. So the only changes I make if I'm flying a comp, I will edit these to forward and backward arrows. So I haven't touched on what these are. These, when you've got a route, these arrows let you go back to the previous, will navigate you back to the previous waypoint or navigate you onto the next one. So if I'm flying in the Alps and doing like a vol biv and not going anywhere in particular, but just trying to get as far as possible, I will create a route along the sort of to guide me. And I'll bung in, they'll have 400-meter waypoints, but I'm not that bothered about going into those waypoints. They're purely there to help me find my way. So when I get close, I'll just click the next waypoint button, and it will navigate me onto the next one. Clearly, if you're doing a competition, that's the last thing you're going to want to do is accidentally jump to the next waypoint. So I just swap these ones to different instruments. So I'll just delete that, and I will just put, where's, yeah, speed to start and time to start. Oh, I missed it again. Yeah.
Tim, this is Simon. We've lost your screen.
Oh, sorry. Yes, thank you. Yeah, so what I was saying was, in the bottom left and bottom right of this screen, I had next waypoint and previous waypoint. And as I said, they're a bit redundant in a competition. You don't want to accidentally press them. So yes, down on the left-hand side, bottom left, I've got speed to start. And then I've got, on the bottom right, time to start. So that will tell me that, you know, when the speed will initially be really slow. It will say you've got to fly like 3 kilometers an hour in order to get to the start at the right time. As it gets closer to the start window, then obviously if you're a kilometer away, then by the time, if you're a minute to the start and you're a kilometer away, it's going to say you're going to need to fly at 60 kilometers an hour to get there in time. So you've blown that start. But it helps you as a speed. It will go from 10 to 20 to 30 to 40. So when it says 40, right, bang, you can pretty much go. And as long as you keep your speed just fractionally below 40, you will arrive at the goal, cylinder start line, bang on time. And also you've got the time to start, which will give you a little countdown timer. So like, 5 seconds, 4, 3, 2. So that's all I do for CompFly. I'm just gonna, I'll put those back later. The other thing, yeah, the final glide, things I use for final glide are basically up here. I assume you can see the mouse when I move it. Glide ratio and glide ratio to goal. So as long as your glide ratio is reading higher than your glide to goal, assuming nothing changes, like you don't suddenly encounter a headwind, then you should make it. I've also got 2 other instruments down here, which I mentioned before, but arrival height above next and arrival height above goal. So they're pretty useful if you're doing a declared goal flight in the UK, but they're obviously useful in a competition as well. So as long as you've got a positive height above goal or above the next turn point, you're going to make it. So that was all I was going to cover there. Sharing flights. We've seen replaying a flight. There are other nice little things here. You can show a graph. If you tilt the phone on its side, you can get a better sort of view of that. And then you can zoom in and just have a bit of fun. You can export a flight to Google Earth. If you've got Google Earth installed on your phone. I'm not going to actually do it, but it's always fun to do that. You can upload to XContest directly from here. So you just assume you've got it all set up with your XContest sort of username and password. You just send it. You can to export it to the UK League is very straightforward now, because in the Files app, if you go to Browse, I'll just start at the sort of top level. On my phone, you see a folder called Flyskyhy. So this is where all your flights are saved, all the IGC files. And if you've created an XML file, a KML file, sorry, a Google Earth file, you'll see it in here as well. And if you want to add an IGC file that you didn't that you didn't record in Flyskyhy, maybe you didn't have your phone with you, but you had it on your XCTracer or whatever, then you can just copy it into this folder, and lo and behold, it will be, you'll see it in Flyskyhy. And I've done that with some like the Dragon one here is like a combined, like a whole Dragon hike and fly comp. But so in the XCLeague, go to the XCLeague website in Safari, and when you come to the bit where you choose your file, it sort of brings up that interface, like you effectively this. So you choose, you go into on my phone into Flyskyhy, and then you just choose the you know, your latest IGC file that you want to upload. So it's very easy to do. Yeah, if you ever wanted to back up and all your flights from Flyskyhy onto your computer, the easiest way, I think, you can press and hold on Flyskyhy, and you can just do copy, and then you go to iCloud Drive or Dropbox or whatever you've got that you've also got on your computer, and you just paste it into there, and then it will copy them all into the cloud and then onto your computer. So yeah, get to know how the Files app works. It's pretty useful. Very quickly now. So yes, miscellaneous tips. So yeah, if you've got a new phone, there's every chance that it might have a different screen resolution, and if you do the normal sort of setting up a new phone from an iCloud backup, which is the way most people do it, all your flights and everything will get copied across. There's no worries about that. But your screens may not, just because of the different resolution. So it's always worth just taking a screenshot of your screens beforehand, so that you don't having to struggle to remember what you know, how you had it set up. And you may have to adjust them slightly. You may have more space. So yeah, worthwhile doing that. As I say, back up your flights using the File app. Stylus. I use a stylus. I don't bother with having your capacitive touchscreen gloves. You know, it's normally so cold that you need skiing gloves anyway. So the stylus works very well, and they're like £2 for about 10 of them off eBay. Oh yes, make sure your phone is not in power save mode. So we've got this, you may or may not have this in your control center, but I tend to use power save mode quite a lot, and especially if I'm driving to a site. I'm not actually flying, but I'm driving. I just want to keep the battery usage as low as possible. I'll often have it on battery save mode. And the thing about battery save mode is, if I was flying and I had a phone call, or I wanted to text someone, in Telegram or whatever the reason is, Flyskyhy then goes into the background, and I'm pretty sure that it will stop recording the IGC file. There'll be a break in it until it comes back to the foreground. So you want to have power, not in power save mode, basically, because that way you can switch to another app, you can make a phone call, do whatever, and you know that Flyskyhy is running perfectly in the background. If you want to save battery, yeah, turn Wi-Fi off when you're flying. You don't need it. It's just using extra battery. Mounting your phone on your flight deck. I've got my phone in a little gel case, and I just have another one of these permanently attached to my flight deck. So I just take it out of this one and just slip it into the other one. And that's Velcroed, and that's plenty sturdy enough, I found. Other people are talking about different, like cycling mounts. There's one called, I can't remember what it's called, cross mount or something like that. But cheap and cheerful works for me. Finally, there is a Flyskyhy Telegram group, which anyone is welcome to join.
Ken here.
Hello, Ken. And that was it.
Hello,
Yeah.
how are you? I use one of these for power. I have Velcro on the back of it, and then I slide the phone in there.
Oh yeah. So you've got an external, a battery case.
A battery case, and I've been using it for years, and it's absolutely brilliant. And then the problem is that if you had a bad landing, it could fall out. So I have a little carabiner, and then I've got some tape. What do you call it? Spinnaker tape stuck on the back with a little hole in, burnt in with a hot wire, and then I just clip that into a little lanyard. So if basically I had a bad landing, you could have the phone call or some rough air or something.
Yeah.
You could lose the phone.
Yeah.
So that's the only way I've found you can slide it into a battery mount, because that's very, very thin, but it's also very, very strong. I don't know.
Yeah, good tip. I have an external anchor battery pack, which is velcroed onto my flight deck. But yeah, the having there's probably more power in those, external battery power. I've got 10,000 milliamp hours, which is tons.
Yeah,
yours will be less than that, but it's a good idea.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, it'll work for normal XC flights.
Yeah. I mean, I've landed after 5 hours with a full battery.
Yeah.
I carry 2 of them now, so.
Cool. Thanks, Ken.
Ken, I will mute myself. I will shut myself up.
Back into your hole. Right. Sorry, Tim Bish. I've overrun. Are there any questions that people have that that I haven't covered?
Just a quick one from me.
Yeah.
Don't worry about the timings, because I think my bit's going to be somewhat shorter than yours anyway. It's it's probably going to be a kind of a spot the same feature in my world type thing.
Yeah.
Just a quick question about Bluetooth.
Yeah.
Have you ever had any problems connecting to external instruments with Bluetooth? And the reason I'm asking is that XCTrack is it might be just my phone, but mine is sometimes a wee bit flaky.
No, it's super easy. Well, yeah, when you are connecting a Bluefly Vario or XCTracer or whatever, you don't do the pairing. You don't go into your sort of you don't go into the settings app Bluetooth and try and pair it there.
Yeah, that's the biggest trick that I found on mine to make.
You go into the settings and wrong one, Vario, and it's at this point here when you choose XCTracer, then it will do the pairing. You've got to have your XCTracer on at that point. So yes, it's I think with iPhones, because it's a sort of closed ecosystem, the Bluetooth is a bit more reliable.
Yeah, I think that's probably right. It may well just be my crappy old phone being flaky, because I use a very old phone that I don't mind trashing if I land badly or something.
Cool. Any other questions?
Tim, I've got a quick question. I'm sure it'll be very quick for you, but it's driven me to distraction. Is on following a route. Sorry, it's Dave. I should say Dave.
Yeah, I don't.
You're following a route, and part way down the route, you find that the sky is better in a different direction. So you want to just skip the next point. How do you do that, please?
Well, that's what I was talking about. On this screen here, I just need to put those instruments back in. So I'll do that right now. So I'll add the previous back to the last point and next route point. Oops, no, that's the wrong one. Oh yeah, nice. I'm going mad. I can't see it. Right to next. just did it with the back to the last one. I must be going. If anyone sees it, shout.
What is it you're looking for?
It's the next waypoint, but it's not. It's not.
Next route point under waypoint elements there?
No, it's not. It's not that one. All right. Back. Oh yeah, skip next point. There we go. So yes, Dave, you just click the back or the skip arrow, and that will skip you onto the next one.
Thanks a lot. That was driving me mad.
And it is possible. I mean, I've changed routes during mid-flight and because I've decided to change my goal. Like there was a flight a couple of years ago, I was going to go to McClinlith, and then I thought, nah, let's go to Aberystwyth. And so mid-flight, yeah, basically you go into your waypoints, and I just blatted my current route, and then I went onto the map and scrolled around until I could see where I wanted, and then just I clicked there and then did that, and then
right.
that is now my new route.
Thanks.
I have asked Rene if he can change this map so that you can zoom in and zoom out using the stylus with a tap and a double tap, like you can on the normal screen, because otherwise, well, you can't. You can do a double tap to zoom in, but you might have it too zoomed in, and then there's no way of zooming out again. So he just needs to put some map controls on there, or else let you do a double tap and a single tap. So that would be quite useful. Okay, thanks, Dave. Any other questions?
Just one from me, please. Hello, if you can hear me.
Yes, hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah.
Hi, this is Rene from Weymouth, and not Rene, the tech guy with all the money. Just a quick question. Now that I've got my tracer with a FLARM built in and what have you, in order to try and save battery power, can I just directly leave it plugged in via the USB into my phone, or does it have to be Bluetooth?
Do you mean plug the XCTracer into the phone?
Yeah, and leave it plugged in so to save battery power.
You've got the Max, haven't you? So that is it the Max?
No, I've got the Mark III or whatever you sent me with a FLARM built in.
Yeah, so that's solar powered. It'll be fine. It'll last all season without charging it.
No, I realise that will, but the Bluetooth side of the phone, which obviously connects to save the phone power.
Oh, just connect it to an external battery and forget about it. It's not worth trying to save battery.
Right.
Really.
Okay. Fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Fine. Thank you.
Yeah, they're cheapest chips off Amazon. The Anchor ones are very good.
Right. Point noted. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
No worries. Any other questions? No. Well, I think that's it. Thank everyone for their attendance. I hope it was a bit dry. Obviously, the subject matter is not that exciting, but hopefully you all stayed awake, including Ken. And over to Tim Bish now.